Adam sat on the edge of his bed, staring out the small window of his quarters. The stars twinkled in the distance, distant and cold. He had been alone for so long. It was a life he had chosen after his time as a soldier in the galactic wars. The memories of those years still haunted him. But one memory stood out more than the others. Years ago, during a brutal battle on a distant world, Adam had saved the life of an alien queen. Her name was Neerath, and she was the ruler of a powerful alien race. At the time, he didn't think much of it. He had done his duty, like any soldier would. But the look in her eyes as she gazed at him with gratitude, that moment stayed with him. He had never expected to see her again. But now something had changed. The quiet of his life was suddenly broken by a signal. It wasn't just any message. It was a direct communication from Queen Neerath herself. The message was short, but the words sent a chill through Adam's spine. "I need your help, soldier. The galaxy is at risk, and only you can save it." Adam didn't know what to think. After all these years, why had she reached out to him? Was she in danger? He felt a pang of curiosity mixed with concern. Without hesitation, he packed his things and made his way to the ship that would take him across the stars once more. The journey was long, but Adam's mind was elsewhere. He couldn't stop thinking about Neerath. The last time he had seen her, she had been surrounded by enemies. She had been fierce and powerful, but in that moment, she had been vulnerable. He had been the one to protect her. Tao. She was calling on him for help. As Adam's ship approached her planet, couldn't help but wonder what had happened to the queen and why she needed him. The planet was vast, its surface dotted with ancient cities and lush forests. It was a place of beauty. But Adam knew that danger lurked beneath the surface. No place in the galaxy was ever truly safe, especially for a ruler like Neerath. When Adam's ship touched down on the planet's surface, he was met by a small group of Neerath's guards. They were tall and imposing, with features that looked almost human but far more refined. They stood at attention, their eyes fixed on Adam as he stepped out of his ship. One of them, a woman with long silver hair, stepped forward. "The queen is waiting for you, soldier," she said in a deep, commanding voice. Adam nodded, unsure of what to say. He had trained for combat, for war. But moments like these, moments of diplomacy and uncertainty, were not his specialty. Still, he followed the guards, walking through the grand halls of Neerath's palace. The walls were adorned with alien artwork, beautiful but strange. Adam had never seen anything like it before. Finally, they reached a large chamber, and there, she was Queen Neerath. She stood tall and proud, her eyes glowing with a faint, ethereal light. Her skin was a pale green, almost translucent, and her long, flowing hair seemed to shimmer as though it were made of starlight. For a moment, Adam was frozen. She had changed, of course. Time had passed, and they had both grown older. But the look in her eyes, the recognition, the warmth was the same. "Neerath," Adam said softly, his voice betraying the surprise he felt. "It's been a long time." Neerath smiled, but it was a sad smile, one that seemed to hold a great burden. "Too long, soldier?" she replied. "I wish I could say it's under better circumstances, but the galaxy is in danger. I need your help." Adam's heart began to race. What happened? What's going on? Neerath motioned for him to sit. As he did, she began to explain. "My people have been at peace for many years, but that peace is being threatened," she said. "There are forces rising in the galaxy, factions of powerful enemies who seek to destroy everything we have built. They've already begun to invade our neighboring worlds, and it's only a matter of time before they turn their attention to us." Adam listened carefully, his mind working to process the information. It wasn't hard to imagine the chaos that could come from such an invasion. Neerath was a queen, but even she could not stand against the overwhelming forces that were building. "I've tried to gather support from other races, but they are afraid of what's coming. They won't act until it's too late. That's why I need you, Adam," Neerath continued. "You have something that they don't?" Adam furrowed his brow. "What do you mean?" "The artifact," she said. "The one you saved me for. The one that could change the fate of the galaxy." Adam's heart skipped a beat. He remembered the artifact. It was a powerful relic that had been hidden for centuries, thought to be lost to time. When he had saved Nereth all those years ago, he had unknowingly unlocked its secret. But Adam never thought it was important enough to pursue. Now it seemed that it was the key to saving everything. Nereth's eyes softened as she looked at him. You are the only one who can wield its power. Without you, all will be lost. Adam didn't know what to say. The weight of her words sank into him, and he realized that his quiet life was no longer an option. The galaxy was in danger, and he had a role to play in its fate. Tell me what I need to do, Adam said, his voice steady. Nereth gave him a small, almost imperceptible nod. Come with me. The path will not be easy, but together we can save the galaxy. And so their journey began once again. This time, however, Adam knew that the stakes were higher than ever before. The fate of not just one world, but many, rested in his hands. Adam stood beside Nereth, looking out at the vast landscape of her kingdom. The city stretched for miles, ancient and full of history, was a place of beauty, but Adam couldn't shake the feeling that danger lurked just beyond the horizon. He had been to many worlds, seen many things, but this felt different, as Nereth led him through the palace. She spoke of the ancient artifact that had been hidden for so long. The artifact is the key to stopping the galaxy's destruction, she said, her voice calm but filled with a sense of urgency. It is said to have the power to control the very fabric of the universe, to bend space and time to the will of its master. Adam had heard rumors of such artifacts before. Powerful relics, capable of altering the course of history. But he had never thought one could be real. And now here he was, being told that he was the only one who could wield it. He didn't feel like the person Nereth described. He was just a soldier, a man who had fought to survive, not to save entire worlds. What makes you think I can wield this power? Adam asked, his voice filled with doubt. Nereth turned to him, her eyes soft yet firm. You saved me once, Adam. You were the one who stepped in when no one else would. That bravery, that strength, it's what the artifact requires. It has chosen you, and now you must fulfill your destiny. Adam felt the weight of her words pressing on him. Destiny. He had never believed in such things. He had always relied on his training, on what he could control. But this was different. The artifact wasn't something he could fight with his fists or his weapons. It was something more, something that required a different kind of strength. Where is it? Adam asked, his voice steady despite the turmoil in his mind. Nereth nodded and led him deeper into the palace. The hallways were lined with ancient symbols and strange markings, all part of the history of her people. He came to a large chamber, its walls covered in glowing runes. In the center of the room was a pedestal, and atop it sat an ornate chest. The air seemed to hum with energy as Nereth approached the chest. This is the chamber of the prophecy, she said. It is here that the artifact has been hidden for centuries. It was locked away to protect it from those who would misuse its power. Adam stepped forward, his heart racing. As Nereth opened the chest, he felt a strange pull, as though something was calling to him. Inside the chest was a small, crystal-like object. It shimmered with a soft, golden light, and Adam could feel its power even from a distance. The artifact is known as the Stellar Core, Nereth explained, her voice filled with reverence. It is said that whoever holds it will have the power to reshape the galaxy. But with that power comes great responsibility. It can save or destroy everything. Adam reached out, his hand trembling as he took hold of the artifact. The moment his fingers touched the crystal, he felt a surge of energy rush through him. The power was overwhelming, and for a brief moment, Adam felt as though he might lose control. But then, the energy seemed to settle, and the artifact grew. Warm in his hand, like it had recognized him. The Stellar Core has chosen you, Nereth said, watching him closely. It recognizes your strength, your resolve. It also requires something from you. It requires sacrifice. Adam frowned, still holding the artifact. Sacrifice? What do you mean? The artifact cannot be wielded without cost, Nereth replied. It will demand something from your strength, your will, even your very soul. The path to using its power is not an easy one. But if you succeed, you will save not just my people, but the entire galaxy. Adam took a deep breath, trying to process everything he had just learned. The artifact was powerful, yes, but the price of using it was high. He wasn't sure if he was ready to make such a sacrifice. But Nerath was right. He was the only one who could wield it. As Adam stood there, holding the stellar core, Nerath turned to him, her expression serious. There is a prophecy about the one who wields the artifact. It is said that the one who holds the stellar core will be tested. The test will come not in battle, but in the choices they make. The galaxy will challenge you, Adam. It will push you to your limits. Adam looked at her, uncertainty in his eyes. What kind of test? The test will be different for each person, Nerath said, her voice low. For you, it may be the choices you make about how to use the artifact. Will you use it for power? For revenge? Or will you use it to bring peace? The galaxy is full of those who would seek to use the artifact for their own gain. The question is, will you be able to resist? Adam felt the weight of her words. This wasn't just about fighting an enemy. This was about choosing the path he would walk. He'd always believed in fighting for survival, but now he was being asked to fight for something bigger, something that could change the course of the entire galaxy. I don't know if I'm ready for this, Adam admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. Nerath placed a hand on his shoulder. None of us are ever truly ready. But sometimes, destiny chooses us, and we must rise to meet it. Adam nodded, feeling the weight of the responsibility pressing down on him. He wasn't sure if he was ready, but he knew one thing for sure. Couldn't turn back now. The galaxy was in danger, and he was the only one who could save it. As they left the chamber, Nerath's voice echoed in his mind. The artifact was his, but so was the future of the galaxy. It was a burden he hadn't asked for, but one he would have to carry. The choices he made from here on out would shape everything. The days that followed Adam's acceptance of the stellar core were filled with uncertainty. Despite the strength the artifact gave him, Adam felt an unsettling weight on his shoulders. He wasn't just carrying the power of the galaxy in his hands. He was now responsible for shaping its future. And as he spent more time with Nerath, he began to realize that his connection to her went deeper than just the mission. Nerath had led him to her royal chambers, where they'd spent countless hours discussing the challenges ahead. Together, they pored over ancient texts and records, trying to piece together the prophecy that had been hidden away for so long. Each step brought them closer to understanding the true purpose of the stellar core. But the more Adam learned, the more questions arose. Was he truly the right person to wield such power? As they sat together one evening, the flickering light of the palace candles casting shadows on the walls, Adam couldn't help but ask, "Do you believe in the prophecy, Nerath, that the artifact can really change everything?" Nerath looked at him, her green eyes filled with a mix of hope and fear. "I must believe in it, Adam. It is the only thing that can save us. But I also know that nothing is certain. The future is full of unknowns, and the choices you make will determine what happens next. The galaxy will either thank you or condemn you for what you decide." Her words echoed in Adam's mind long after their conversation ended. He was beginning to understand the weight of his role. This wasn't just about saving Nerath's people, it was about saving the entire galaxy from destruction. But how? Could one person, even with the power of the stellar core, make such a difference? In the following days, Adam and Nerath trained together. Although Adam had been a soldier for most of his life, he had never faced anything like the challenges the artifact presented. Nerath, who had spent years learning the ways of leadership and diplomacy, now shared her wisdom with him. They practiced strategies, both military and personal, preparing for the battles they knew were coming. One evening, as they trained in the palace courtyard, Nerath paused, her hand on her sword. "Adam," she said softly, "there is something I need to tell you, something I've been keeping from you." Adam turned to her, concern crossing his face. "What is it?" Nerath hesitated for a moment, as if choosing her words carefully. "The enemies we face, they are not just after the artifact. They want to destroy me. They want to destroy you too." Adam frowned, sensing the seriousness in her tone. What do you mean? Why me? Nereth lowered her gaze, her expression filled with sadness. Because of what you represent. You're a human, Adam, and many of the galactic races see you as an outsider, someone who doesn't belong. There are those who fear what you can do, and they will stop at nothing to destroy you and the artifact. You are the key to their downfall, and they will do whatever it takes to make sure you fail. Adam's heart sank as he realized the true scale of the danger they were facing. The universe was full of unknown enemies, and now he was the target. But the more he thought about it, the more he understood. He had always been an outsider, someone who didn't fit in. But now he had something bigger to fight for. He wasn't just fighting for himself, he was fighting for the galaxy. Nereth, I won't let them take this from us, Adam said firmly. We've come too far to turn back now. I don't care. What they do to me, I'm not going to let them win. Nereth looked up at him, a soft smile on her face. I know you won't, Adam, and that's why I trust you. The trust between them grew stronger with each passing day. Adam had never thought of Nereth as anything more than a queen he had saved all those years ago. But now he saw her not just as a ruler, but as a partner. Carry her own fears, and yet she still stood strong for her people. Adam admired her strength, her resilience. It was something he hadn't seen in anyone else before. As they spent more time together, their connection deepened. There were moments when Adam would catch Nereth looking at him, her gaze lingering longer than usual. And when she smiled, Adam felt something stir inside him. It wasn't just the power of the artifact that was growing within him, it was something else, something he hadn't expected. One night as they sat beneath the stars, Adam looked over at Nereth. Do you ever wonder what it would be like if things were different? He asked. If there was no war, no threats, no artifact. Just us, living in peace? Nereth gazed up at the stars, her expression thoughtful. I do wonder, she said softly. But I also know that peace requires sacrifice. Sometimes the sacrifices we make shape the future. I've had to sacrifice so much for my people. And now you're here, carrying the weight of the galaxy on your shoulders. Adam turned to her, his voice quieter than before. I never asked for this, you know. I never wanted to be a hero or a savior. I just wanted to survive. Nereth reached out and gently touched his arm. You may not have asked for it, Adam, but you are the hero we need. You're the one who can bring us peace in that moment. Adam realized something important. He wasn't just fighting for the galaxy anymore. He was fighting for Nereth, for the bond they had formed, for the future they could have together. The challenges ahead were enormous, but Adam no longer felt alone in his struggle. Nereth was with him, just as he was with her. And no matter what the future held, they would face it together. The days that followed felt like a race against time. Adam and Nereth had grown closer, their bond strengthening with each passing hour. The galaxy's fate rested in their hands, and the more they worked together, the clearer it became. There, enemies were closing in. Nereth's kingdom, once a peaceful beacon in the galaxy, was now a target. Adam had heard rumors of forces rising in the shadows, powerful enemies who wanted to control the stellar core, to wield its power for themselves. But Adam wasn't just fighting to protect Nereth's people. He was now fighting for the very survival of the galaxy. We don't have much time, Nereth said one evening as they stood in the palace's war room, staring at a holographic map of the galaxy. The map was dotted with red marks, each one representing an enemy fleet moving closer and closer to her homeworld. Adam studied the map, his fingers resting on the edge of the table. They're getting bolder, he said, his voice low. We need to act fast. Nereth nodded, her face etched with worry. We've already sent out requests for aid, but many of the galactic races are too afraid to help. They think we're just losing, that we can't win. Adam clenched his fists. You're wrong. We can win, but only if we stand together. The war room fell silent as they both realized the truth. There was no more time to waste. They had to act now before the enemy arrived at their doorstep, as they made plans. Nereth's trusted advisors began to assemble troops and ships to defend the planet. Adam, however, knew that they needed more than just military might. they needed. A strategy, a way to outsmart their enemies, to turn the tide in their favor. But with every day that passed, their options grew fewer. The pressure mounted. The following evening, as they prepared to leave the war room, Adam caught sight of a familiar face in the corridor. One of Nereth's royal guards, a tall, sharp-eyed woman named Lyra, approached them. She was a warrior, fierce and loyal to the queen, and she had a message. "Queen Nereth, I have news," Lyra said, her voice tight with urgency. "What is it?" Nereth asked, her tone hardening. "There's been a breach in the outer defenses. We've detected enemy ships entering our orbit," Lyra explained, her face pale. "They're here." Nereth's face darkened. "How many?" "Enough to overwhelm our defenses," Lyra replied. "They've come faster than we expected, and there are reports of a new faction and unknown fleet that's joined forces with Drexer." Drexer, the name, sent a chill down Adam's spine. He had heard of the ruthless warlord before. He was a force of destruction, and his hunger for power was unmatched. If Drexer was involved, it meant that the galaxy's fate had already been sealed, unless they acted fast. "We need to prepare for an immediate attack," Nereth said, her voice filled with determination. "Adam, you must lead the counterattack. I know this is your strength." Adam nodded, his mind already racing with tactics. He was a soldier, after all. This was his role, but the fear was there. Tooth, the fear of failure, the fear of losing. He had never been one to show weakness, but now, with the galaxy's future on the line, he couldn't help but wonder if he was truly ready for what lay ahead. That night, Adam and Nereth gathered their closest advisors, strategizing their next move. They would need to divide their forces. Some would defend the planet, while others would make a bold strike against Drexer's fleet. But they had one advantage. The stellar core, its power, though still mysterious, could turn the tide if used correctly. Adam just had to learn how to control it. As they prepared for battle, Adam found himself alone for a moment, standing on a balcony overlooking the city. The stars above seemed so distant, so cold. The weight of what was to come pressed heavily. On his chest, he wasn't sure if he could do it, if he could truly wield the artifact's power. But the people of this world, Nereth's people, were depending on him. Nereth appeared beside him, her presence comforting but filled with the same weight of responsibility. "You're not alone in this, Adam," she said softly. "Fight by your side. We'll face this together." He turned to her, gratitude and a deep respect filling his heart. "I know, Nereth, but I can't help but wonder if we're making a mistake. What if we're not ready for this?" Nereth gave him a small smile, the same smile that had first caught his attention all those years ago. "None of us are ever truly ready for war, Adam. But we must fight for what we believe in, and I believe in you." Adam felt a fire spark within him, something he hadn't felt in years. He wasn't just fighting for the galaxy. He was fighting for Nereth, for the bond they shared, for the future they could build together. As the battle drew closer, Adam and Nereth stood side by side, prepared to face the forces that threatened. Everything they held dear. The enemy fleet was massive, and Drexer's forces were ruthless. But Adam had something they didn't: his courage, his resolve, the incredible power of the stellar core. The next morning, as the sky above the palace began to darken with the shadows of the approaching fleet, Adam took one last look at Nereth. The future was uncertain, but one thing was clear. He would fight not just for survival, but for a chance at peace. The war was about to begin. The day of the battle had arrived. The entire palace was on high alert as Adam stood on the front lines, preparing for the conflict that would decide the fate of the galaxy. His heart raced with anticipation and fear, but he tried to focus. Warships were ready, and the troops had assembled. There was no turning back now. Adam stood with Nereth on the palace balcony, watching as the enemy fleet grew larger in the distance. The sky was filled with the shadow of warships, huge and intimidating, with their sharp edges cutting through the clouds. It felt like the galaxy itself was holding its breath. Nereth turned to him, her face serious. "This is it, Adam. Once the battle begins, there will be no more chances.
Oh, yeah.
The galaxy will either fall or survive. You must be ready to make the final decision. Adam nodded, his grip tight on the stellar core that rested in his hand. The artifact pulsed with power, its warmth a reminder of the responsibility that weighed heavily on him. He wasn't just fighting for his life or Naruth's people anymore. The choices he made now would affect everyone in the galaxy. "I'm ready," Adam said, though he wasn't sure if he truly was. He had faced many battles before, but this one felt different. This wasn't just a fight with weapons and tactics. It was a fight for the future of every living being in the galaxy. "We all are," Naroth said, her voice filled with determination. "But you must remember the artifact cannot be used lightly. It will test you. You'll be pushed to your limits, Adam. The final trial is coming. It will demand everything from you." Adam didn't fully understand what Nerith meant, but he didn't have time to ask. The enemy was closing in. The sounds of the warships firing their engines filled the air as the battle began. The war was chaos. Explosions echoed through the sky, and the sound of laser fire filled the air. Adam and Nerith's forces met the enemy head-on, their ships clashing in a violent storm of metal and energy. Adam's heart pounded in his chest as he commanded his troops, keeping them focused on their objective. But despite their best efforts, the battle was not going in their favor. Drexer's forces were too powerful, and they were relentless. Adam could see that their strength was not just in their numbers, but in their sheer will to win. They were driven by hatred and a thirst for power, and they would stop at nothing to defeat them. Adam pushed forward, leading a strike team against one of Drexer's strongest warships. His hands gripped the stellar core tighter as the power within it surged, responding to his will. He could feel the artifact's power flowing through him, a force stronger than anything he had ever felt. But with that power came a sense of darkness, a reminder of the sacrifice it required. As Adam led the charge, he noticed that the enemies weren't just attacking his fleet, they were targeting the civilians on the planet below. It wasn't just about the war anymore. They wanted to break the will of Naroth's people, to make them surrender. It was something Adam couldn't allow. "Focus on the ships above," Adam ordered, his voice calm but firm. "We can't let them win this. Protect the people. Fight for them." His team rallied around him, their determination growing. They fought with all their might, driving back the enemy fleet. But as the battle raged on, Adam knew that time was running out. The stellar core's power was beginning to strain under the pressure. He could feel its energy surging, but it was beginning to take a toll on him. It was as if the artifact was testing his very soul, asking him how far he was willing to go to save the galaxy. The final trial came in the form of Drexer himself. Adam's ship was suddenly surrounded by enemy vessels, and in the center, the monstrous flagship of Drexer appeared, towering over them all. The warlord's voice boomed through the comms, filled with contempt. "You think you can stop me, human?" Drexer's voice was mocking. "You think the artifact will save you? It is nothing more than a tool, and I will destroy you and your precious queen." Adam's pulse quickened as he realized what was about to happen. This wasn't just a battle. Drexer was testing him, trying to make him doubt himself. And the worst part was, Adam could feel the doubt creeping in. What if Drexer was right? What if the artifact was too powerful for anyone to control? But then, in that moment of uncertainty, Adam remembered something Naroth had said to him. Artifact demands sacrifice. And he realized that this was his moment, his final trial. Without hesitating, Adam activated the full power of the stellar core. The energy surged through him, filling his body with an overwhelming force. He could feel the power of the artifact vibrating through his very soul, and he knew that this was the test Nerith had warned him about. It wasn't just about using the artifact, it was about controlling it, resisting its temptation to destroy. With a determined shout, Adam focused the energy of the stellar core on Drexer's flagship. The blast of energy shot out from the artifact, ripping through space like a storm. The flagship trembled under the force, but Drexer's ship didn't fall. It was strong, but not strong enough. Drexer roared in anger. You think you can defeat me with that? Adam didn't respond. Instead, he poured every ounce of strength he had into the artifact, channeling its power to one final blast. The energy surged, bright and blinding as it tore through Drexer's ship. In a matter of seconds, the warlord's flagship exploded, sending debris scattering through the vacuum of space. The battle was won. But as the dust settled, Adam collapsed, his body shaking from the strain of the artifact's power. The stellar core's energy faded, and Adam felt the weight of what he had just done. The galaxy was safe for now, but the cost was high. Narath appeared by his side, her eyes filled with worry. You did it, Adam. We've won. Adam looked at her, exhausted but relieved. We did it, he whispered. Together. The aftermath of the battle left Adam feeling both victorious and deeply exhausted. He had just faced the final trial, and though the enemy fleet had been destroyed, the price was clear. He could feel the power of the stellar core fading, its energy drained by the intense battle. He had pushed himself to the limit, and now, as the dust settled, the weight of everything he had done seemed to crash down on him. Naruth stood beside him, her eyes filled with concern as she helped him too. His feet. You did it, Adam. You saved us all. But you pushed yourself too hard. The artifact's power is not meant to be wielded so recklessly. Adam took a deep breath, his body still trembling from the strain. He had felt the artifact's energy surge through him, overwhelming and powerful, but also dangerous. He knew that he had used it to its full potential, but now, in the silence of the battlefield, he couldn't help but wonder if he had truly done the right thing. I had no choice, Adam said, his voice low. The galaxy was at risk. The artifact. It gave me the power I needed to stop Drexer, but it came with a cost. Narath looked at him with sympathy, her expression softening. I know, and I don't think anyone else could have done what you did. You've proven that the artifact's power can be used for good, but we must be careful. The cost of using it is great, and it cannot be used recklessly. Adam nodded, understanding her words. He had felt the pull of the artifact's power, and he knew that it was something that could easily corrupt someone, if not used with caution. But in that moment, he also realized that he wasn't alone. Nerith was there by his side, guiding him through the hardest moments, reminding him of his responsibility. We've won, but the galaxy still needs us, Nerith said, her voice firm but gentle. There are still factions out there who will stop at nothing to gain control of the stellar core. We can't let our guard down. Autumn looked up at the sky, watching as the last of the enemy ships drifted into the distance. The galaxy had been saved, but the peace they had fought for was still fragile. There were many more challenges ahead, and Adam knew that he would have to continue to fight for the future of the galaxy. We'll rebuild, Adam said, his voice filled with determination. We'll protect this galaxy. Together. Nerith smiled at him, her eyes shining with admiration. Yes, together. I think it's time for you to take your rightful place, Adam. You've earned it. The following days were a blur of celebration and rebuilding. Narath's people hailed Adam as a hero, and the galaxy, once on the brink of destruction, now had a new hope. But despite the cheers and the victories, Adam remained focused on the task ahead. The galaxy was still in a delicate balance, and he knew that his role was far from over. As the days passed, Adam and Nerith worked side by side to establish a new order. They met with the leaders of the different galactic factions, forging new alliances and ensuring that peace would endure. Adam had once been a soldier, but now he was becoming something more, a leader, protector of the galaxy. Despite his growing responsibilities, Adam found himself drawn to Nerith in ways he hadn't expected. The connection between them had deepened during the battle, and as they spent more time together, Adam realized that his feelings for her had grown into something more than friendship. There was a bond between them that went beyond their shared fight for the galaxy. They had been through so much together, and in those quiet moments when they weren't making plans or negotiating peace, they shared something deeper. One evening, as they stood together on the balcony overlooking the palace, Adam couldn't hold back any longer. He turned to Nerith, his heart pounding in his chest. "Nerith," he said, his voice softer than usual. "I don't know what the future holds, but I do know this. I couldn't have done this without you. You've shown me what it means to lead, to fight for something bigger than myself, and I." He hesitated, unsure of the words, but his feelings were clear. Neroth turned to him, her expression thoughtful. "You've shown me what it means to trust someone, Adam. You've proven that there's more to a leader than strength. It's about protecting those you care for, about doing what's right, even when it's hard." Adam stepped closer to her, the space between them closing. "And I care for you, Nerith, more than I ever expected." Nerith's eyes softened, and for a moment, the weight of the galaxy seemed to fade away. "I care for you too, Adam, more than you know." And in that moment, Adam realized that his fight for the galaxy wasn't just about the battles he had won. It was about the people he had fought for, about the connections he had made along the way. The future was still uncertain, but one thing was clear: together. He and Nerith could face whatever challenges lay ahead. The days turned into weeks. And as Adam and Nerith continued to lead the efforts to rebuild the galaxy, the bond between them only grew stronger. They faced countless challenges, but with each one, they grew more determined to create a lasting peace. The people of the galaxy, once divided, were now united under their leadership. And though there were still many battles to fight, Adam knew that he had found his place in the galaxy, not just as a soldier, but as a protector, a leader, and someone who had discovered the true power of the stellar core. It was not just a weapon of destruction. It was a symbol of hope, of unity, and of the future they could build together. As Adam stood beside Nerith, watching the stars above, he knew that their journey was far from over. But with Nerith by his side, he was ready to face whatever came. Next, together, they would shape the future of the galaxy.